Hey, 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 it's your girl Barbie J. Did you see that? Hey, did y'all see this? We're talking about Sisters, Season 2, Episode 2. Well, I did watch it. I told y'all I watched it twice. I'm sorry I'm delayed at getting this video up, but I got a chance to see my little pumpkin pie for the first time in like months and months. And you know, being a new grandmother, you miss out on those things. But anyway, I just want y'all to know, while I was seeing her and she took a nap, I did some homework. And I learned about was Danny's man's name was Preston. And I learned that the guy that Karen shot and who stabbed Zach was Aaron's dead ex-wife, crazy brother. He's trying to kill Karen and blame her because his sister and her crazy self, you know, killed herself. She killed herself, and he's blaming Karen when his sister was no longer even married to Aaron, from what they say. So Karen shot him because he's gone crazy. And then, what else did I learn? I did learn, okay, I know the feds were confiscating all of Andy's stuff. I knew that. The police officer that Zach was chatting with and talking to, I found out that was, he used to bang her back in the days, you know, and he was flirting with her in the hospital. So that's why when she ran into him again and he had the number and yada, 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 they were getting it together. And then the guy that Zach called afterwards at the end of last episode, Zach called somebody after talking to that police officer, and that was Karen's mom. Her name is Lisa, Karen's mom's young boyfriend. And he's supposed to be a millionaire, something like that, and he does construction. So that is what I found out. What else? Seemed like there was something else. No, I guess that, oh, and that attorney's name was Hayden, but I hadn't heard them say it, but they did say Hayden was his name. And it seems like Hayden and Fatima had some type of relationship, oh, excuse me, in the past. Because, you know, he was checking out that big fat booty when it walked away, you know. But anyway, I think Tyler Perry has gotten much better at writing these scripts. You know, compared to the Oval and the haves and the have-nots, I really am enjoying Sisters, and this episode has, you know, sealed it for me that I think I will continue to watch and I will continue to review. So let's get started. I have it started off recording with Andy showing up, Karen showing up at Andy's apartment. No, Andy showing up at her apartment, and see they going through her stuff and they tearing her stuff apart, and she's pissed, and she's like, this is not fair because that stuff is mine. I didn't know nothing about it. And it's true. I mean, that FBI agent had her in his car, and he's telling her stuff that she didn't even know about. So why is he being so like forceful now? I don't know. Maybe his boss is there now. I don't know. But he's like really forceful with her. And you want to get arrested. You want to get arrested. And she's losing her mind because that's all her stuff. I'm like, does she even have clothes? If they took all her stuff and her wallet and everything, she can't give money. She can't make phone calls. You don't know people's phone numbers. See, that's why you got to have your phone backed up. You back it up onto your internet, and then you can go on your internet and get your phone numbers off. Excuse me. Yep. You could do that. Anyway, so the FBI guy is being real forceful. Andy's really upset. She's really upset. And Karen is calming her down. And she's trying to pull away like, girl, you want to get arrested? Come on. And she pulls away. And when they go around the corner, here comes Danny. And Danny's like, what's going on? And they don't want to tell Danny anything yet. And Danny's like, well, can I get my money for my gas? I said, no, she did. And she's like, look, girl, come on now. She said, my car was shaking and everything, driving here. You know, I need my money. And I'm like, girl, do you not see there's a situation going on? But it's still the way she was acting. It was so funny to me. It's just like, I don't know. It's all throughout this episode. She just makes me laugh. So I know I'm going to enjoy her. I don't know if she's really crazy or anything else right now, but right now I'm getting a kick out of Danny. So, they say they're gonna go to where they gonna go? They're gonna go to Sabrina's house. That's what they're gonna go to, Sabrina's house. And so Danny calls Sabrina and lets her know that they're gonna go to her house. Something went down, and the FBI agents, all at Andy's house. And so she said, okay, y'all got the key. Y'all could go in. But she's like, I gotta hang up. My boss is coming, and they're like she's trying to tell her everything that's going on. She's like, no, I gotta go. So she hangs up. So I find out she works at a bank. Her boss comes over, Miss India, and she's like, I need to talk to you. And she tells her about this wire transfer. And she's asking her, what forms of ID did she accept? And she's like, it was a phone transfer. And she was like, and what did you, she said, well, you didn't flag this? And she was like, no. She said, so you didn't follow protocol? She's like, you have to follow protocol. You didn't follow protocol? So how, she just was so upset. She said, did I do something wrong? She said, yes. She said that I got a call from the FBI. The FBI is all over this right now, and they're going to want to talk to you. So you have to leave now and go home. She's like, what? What? She said, you got to leave and go home. She's like, but did I do something? She said, am I going to get fired? Are you firing me? She said, no. She said, but you got to go home because they're going to want to talk to you. She said, leave your card, your key card, and your access badge. Leave them, and, I'll call you. She was like, but am I part? She said, I will call you. Go home. And so Sabrina left and went home. And the last thing her boss said is, I will call you. So that's not particularly that you got fired, but it's going to look suspicious. And then the girls arrived at Sabrina's house. And they get in there and they're looking for something to drink. I don't know if Sabrina got it hidden or whatever, that they looking for drinks. And here comes Danny. She pulls out those little swig bottles. Those little swig bottles you get on the plane and stuff. And I'm finding out that she must work at an airport because she got all those little bottles, and we love those things when we travel, especially when you go on the cruises. They don't want you to have no alcohol. You got to sneak that stuff. And the international trips, we always get a bunch of them then. And she has all these little bottles, and she's giving to them. They tossing them things up. They trying to drink because everybody going through something. It seems like all of them are going through something except Danny right now. Andy's going through something, Karen's going through something, and now Sabrina got to go through something. So I said, oh my goodness, she's hilarious. And, what else? And they accused her of stealing from a job. She's like, I ain't stealing from a job. They owe it to me or something like that. So Sabrina comes home and they're like, what are you doing here? And she was like, they sent me home. Because they were like, I thought you had to work. They sent me home. Why? Oh, because that wire transfer I did for Karen that was a problem, and now the FBI want to talk to me, and I could lose my job. So she's pissed. She said, I can't believe I could lose my job because of Gary. And meanwhile, Karen is still like believing in him. Not Karen, I'm sorry. Lord Jesus, I'm getting the names mixed up. Andy is still trusting in Gary. That's what's happening. And I'm like, this is terrible, because I know I would be pissed. Sisters or no sisters, I would be pissed right now, So I find that Danny always says what's on her mind, and Danny's trying to say stuff, and they're telling her, stop, Danny, stop. Not right now. It's not the time. Stop, Danny. And Danny just keeps on and stuff. And she said, is nobody going to say anything about all this blood that's on Karen's pants? And I was like, oh my goodness, and you see all that blood on her. And I hadn't seen it either. And she tells everything that happened, and they are all shocked because they didn't know she shot somebody. But they said he's okay because her mom patched him up or stitched him up or something like that. So that was crazy. And they're just all, I'm like, how did none of them see blood? I mean, it was a lot of blood on them pants and stuff. So they tell Andy that she should go and call whoever this tax accountant is. So she calls to find out about this tax accountant. And she speaks to Fatima. And Fatima, she tells Fatima about somebody named Mike, I think it was. Fatima's like, I don't know about him. I don't know. And she tells him about Hayden. She said, I don't know who Hayden is. She said, well, I'll figure it out. I'll talk to Hayden for you. So she goes and she tries to talk to Hayden. And Hayden is like, nah, I saw those FBI agents in there. I had nothing to do with that. Nah, it's risky. And she said, well, that's why you became an attorney, to take these risky cases. You can't be safe all the time. You know, that's why you're here. And he's like, nah, it's just I really don't want to have anything to do with that. I want to stay clear of it and stuff. And I was like, wow, you know, they want to take cases that they know they can win. And so she basically tell him, she said, now, don't make me go there. He said, what you going to bring up? She was going to bring up something, I don't know, from the past. He said, playing that card you've been playing that too long. It's dying. She said, well, then I'm going to call my mama. She said, call your mama. You going to do that to me? You going to call your mama? She said, that's right. I'm going to call my mama and say, I asked you to help me and you wouldn't help me. And she said, you know she going to call your mama because they go to church Sunday, every Sunday together. He said, oh, that's cold-blooded. So he said, that's wrong. So she basically said that she was going to, he said he would do it. You know, he would talk to her and stuff. But he said, you owe me now. She said, I know. She said, don't worry, it'll be worth it. And I was like, what's that all mean? You know, it's going to be worth it. What is all that about? So I know there's something going on. And he's like, okay. As he watched that fat behind walk away, because Fatima have a fat butt. But she was looking hot in that yellow dress. It was really nice. I was feeling that dress. So then what happened? When Fatima, let me get these names right. When Andy walked out the room to call Fatima about the tax attorney, they were in the living room, Sabrina, Karen, and Danny. And Danny's like, Sabrina, how much was in that transfer? Sabrina's like, I can't tell you. They all looking. Karen's like, how much was in that transfer? You know, they like, how much was in that transfer? She said, $14 million. They was like, $14 million? She going to jail. She going to jail. They was like, she going to jail. I mean, that's a lot of money. $1 million is enough to flag it. So I'm not sure what Sabrina was thinking, doing that for her girlfriend without protecting herself. You got to look out for yourself. Your friends are your friends, but they can get you into some stuff. I said, oh my God, this is crazy. But as when Andy was talking to Fatima told her that they all here in your office. I've been calling you. They're in your office going through your stuff. And she said, I ain't do nothing wrong. Don't worry. She said, girl, I took your files. I cleared your hard drive. I did this. She said, I ain't giving them shit. I said, she said, I ain't giving them shit on you. She said, no. And she kept telling, that's why she kept telling, Fatima kept trying to tell the tax accountant, Hayden, that her friend is innocent. She's innocent. There's only four of us blacks in here in this office. We got to stick together. And he said, what makes you think I could do it? And she said, because you're brilliant. You're brilliant. I was like, okay, massage his ego. Tell him he brilliant. And so I think that was what helped him want to do it. You know, her pushing that on him. But I was dying. They were like, oh no, she going to jail. She going to jail. Then what else happened? Andy, it goes to Zach cleaning up that blood, and who walks in but Aaron looking for Karen. And he's like, you just show up and don't call ahead of time? How come you don't know Karen ain't here? You know? And then he's like, they're going back and forth because he's like, tell her, you know, she's not here. And he said, you just walk up and don't call, don't let nobody know. And he's like, just tell her I came by. He's not telling her shit. You know, you got her number, call her. He said, and that's when he said, why is it you don't know? And I'm like, how do people just show up to people's houses and don't call in advance? That's some ghetto stuff. That's not even, I don't know. I don't know what to call that. And he said, look, my friend. And he said, I ain't your damn friend. Stop calling me that. You know, and then he's like, I'm not trying to argue with you. He said, well, that's what it's doing. He said, do you understand all of this is happening because of you? all this blood down here is because of you. He said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to happen. I'm sorry. He kept apologizing. I didn't mean for that to happen. He said, but it did happen. It happened because of you, you know, and you don't take no ownership of it. And he was like, he kept saying he's sorry. He don't want to be, you know, argue with him. He said, I don't, but yet here we are too. I don't want to argue either, but we are, you know. And at that point, that's when Karen called, and he said, this your girl now calling. And she called asking Zach to bring her some clothes. And, you know, Zach is so silly when he talking and stuff. So I was kind of chuckling at the way he was talking to Aaron as well. And he said, your girl needs some clothes. Give me a ride. We take it to him. He said, why don't you just give me the address? He said, do you know where Sabrina is? And he's like, no. He said, just give me the address. He said, no, why don't you just take me over there? And so that's what they decided they were going to do. He was going to drive her to, and he said, I'll wait outside for you. And he's like, man, you're supposed to be watching the door in case somebody come in here. You're supposed to protect me. He was like, dude, I'll wait in my car for you. Like, I ain't trying to protect you for nothing. I said, oh, snap. So then Fatima, I did that part. She asked the attorney. And, then they show Calvin. Lord help me. Calvin shows up to Maurice's house. And Maurice has on his red satin pajamas, looking all sensual and sexy, laying up in there. And you know, he just came to check on him. Calvin just came to check on him. And you know how Maurice is. Maurice flirting and trying to get with him and stuff. And he said, well, I brought you some candy. He said, oh, you did give it to me. He said, what? He said, I brought you real candy, because he learned it was something else. He said, oh, man, I thought it was something I could suck on, like some peppermint peanuts or some nut nuggets. I fell out. I was like, okay, he's going to be one of my funny people, too, on this show. So I enjoyed that laugh. And he's always trying. I said, look, I'm trying to have sex with his friend's man. If he's Sabrina's man or not, I don't know if he is, but she likes him a lot, she said. You know, and he just told her he loved her. So, that was cool. And then, hold on, somebody's calling me. Sorry, I had to take that call. So, anyway, Maurice, Calvin is saying, how you doing? Honestly, because, you know, Maurice is joking about everything. He said, you know, us queens know how to smile through the pain. And Calvin's like, you know, I have 2 dads who went through what you're going through. You don't have to be strong like that, you know. And he said, come on, let me take you out. I want to take you out. And he was like, why don't you just do something else to make me feel better? Like, give me a little something. You know, he just kept going there. But he was like, no. He said, go out with me and have a drink so you can relax. And he was like, man, I'm trying to get me some disability or something. He tells him, he said, boy, you don't have no money to be getting no disability. So he said he agrees to go out there and have a drink with him. But I don't think he told him about the fundraiser yet. So I don't know if that fundraiser is probably supposed to be a surprise. So then you see, you got Sabrina and Danny and Karen. They're still sitting on the couch together. And Danny's like, what's that? What's that I smell? She said, Sabrina, you up in here wearing my perfume? And she's like, you know I'm not wearing your perfume. You don't like when people wear your perfume. She said, no, I smell my perfume up in here. And she's like, oh, shoot. Calvin was sitting there. And they like, what? Calvin wear a woman's perfume? And that's when I find out that Calvin used to wear panties and stuff like that. And they just start talking and laughing about it. And Sabrina's like, I don't care. I like him a lot. And then she tells him that Calvin told her today that he loves her. That he loves her. And they were like, what? They were sitting there looking shocked and stuff. And Karen asked, do you love him? You know? And she said, like, she do. She like him. And they said, well, how did he say it? Did he say, like, yeah, I love you too? Or did he say, yo, babe, I love you? You know, they were acting it out. I said, oh, my God. They were all so funny. And then she, Andy said, she came back in the room and said she had evidence. She had evidence at her house what was the evidence was supposed to prove that, was that on the investigation that they had proof that, oh, her boss, Bellamy, I don't know who that is. Her boss, Bellamy, and Gary's ex-wife and somebody named Maurice are trying to set Gary up. I said, here she is believing this fool again, trying to set Gary up. And the sisters are not buying it. They're not trying to hear that. They're probably like sick of her trying to talk to him, you know, just defending him all the time. It's just, it's getting tired, I guess, to them. So, of course, Danny started trying to speak her mind and say stuff. And they're like, stop, stop, stop. They keep saying, she said, she said, I just trying to get her to help to understand what she's saying or what she's doing. Like, really? Do you really think that? Oh, my God. So she goes, I got a question, Danny said. Why was you in Alabama? And, oh, everybody was looking around shocked like, what? You was in Alabama? And Danny's like, oh, what? Did I say something that makes sense right now? Did I say something that makes sense? And they're like, oh, my goodness. You know, they're telling Danny she need to leave. But then, you know, Andy had to break it down and tell what it was. That he was looking for a house and was trying to isolate her from them and move them away. And Danny says, you see, he trying to keep her away from her. Don't he know she a city hoe? She ain't no country hoe. You know, they was like, she was going on and they were like, Danny, please, you know, stop it. And Danny would not stop. So they wanted Danny to leave, and she for speaking her mind all the time. And she's like, they was like, we're all going through stuff. If you're not going to be supportive, then you need to go because, and she's like, no, I'm going to be supportive. I'm going to be here quiet. I'll do it, you know. So that's what it was. But next thing you know, Karen's phone rings. She answers it, and it's Gary calling from prison, and he has his attorney on the phone. And she's like, who this? And he said, Gary. She said, how you get my number? And everybody runs over to her. They all run over to her, and they all trying to listen and put on speaker, put on speaker. And he's like, I know you don't believe me. And he's like begging, and I'm looking for Andy. Can you tell me where she is? I don't know where she is. Just give me the message. I'll give it to her. And he's like, just tell her, you know, I got proof. I got proof that I'm telling the truth. That they were like, we don't even want to hear it. And so the next thing you know, she puts, Karen lets Danny get on the phone. Danny gets on the phone and says, can I ask you a question? She said, are you trying to sell bullshit? Put it on a stick and calling it fudge? You think we don't know? And she calls him a bitch-ass liar. She goes in. She goes in on him. And they all fighting over the phone, and they trying to fight to hear and say their 2 cents, and can't. Andy is there trying to get the phone because she want to talk to him, and he's like, I know Andy's there, I know she's there, and Andy, listen to me, and she trying to get it, and they holding her back and won't let her get on the phone. I was dying with that line. They look so funny fighting over the phone on the floor. But she said, you trying to sell bullshit? Put it on a stick and call it fudge. I said, no, she did. I know she did. And I never heard that before. And so, it seems like Danny was like actually being the voice of reason at one point, you know. And they just wasn't trying to hear it. I don't know why. She's speaking her mind. And sometimes people, when they're in groups like that, they don't want you to speak your mind. They don't want you to say, you know, because they really don't want to hear it, maybe. I don't know. But Danny is definitely a funny character. So it goes off with Danny wanting to leave. Finally saying she's going to leave after Fatima calls Leslie to get those backup files. You know, hopefully there was a set of backup files of the evidence she had. And she opens that front door, and who's standing there? She said, speaking of stupid or something like that, she said, who's standing there but Karen's ex-boyfriend and present boyfriend? And she just shimmied her butt. Danny shimmied right back over to sit down on the couch. It was so funny. She said, I think I'll stay after all. And we were cracking up. I say we because I was watching with somebody. But anyway, that was the end of that episode. But that was a great episode. That made me feel so much better. I enjoyed Tyler Perry's writing in this episode. I really, really did. So I'm hoping all the rest of the episodes are like this, where I stayed entertained, and I want to see next week. It makes me want to see next week. So I hope y'all enjoyed this recap. I try to give thorough information. If I'm giving too much, put it in the comment section. I'll give less. But I like to be thorough to make you feel like you're there and you hear everything, especially if you missed it. Okay? So, this is your girl, Barbie J. Have a good evening. And I will see you next week. Peace.